Well, when I was living with the secret of being gay in that environment, I was always thinking, something's wrong with me, but also we were taught to think of homosexuality and really any LGBTQ identity as an addiction or as some sort of temptation. Conversion therapy takes many different forms. Some of it's electroshock still to this day. Some of it is enforced incarceration. What I experienced was psychological in nature, and I consider it to be a form of torture. I do. I did not undergo any physical abuse, but I would call it psychological and emotional abuse. Yes, I have no hesitation with that. This was a cult. You were in a cult, and it was harmful, and it had all the effects of being in a cult. It's so much more nefarious, I think, to tell a teenager who is already dealing with so much stuff in their life and already wondering, what is life? How do I navigate it? Who am I? What is my body doing? And to tell them that their natural responses to the world are unnatural. It interrupts the progress of their development, and it causes them to be wary of a number of things like good sexual health, right? Many people that leave conversion therapy deal with sex addiction because they don't know what a relationship is. They're taught, like, sex is sex, it's from the devil, it's evil. I would go, every other weekend or a couple of times a month, and the therapist would say, tell me what your fantasies are, basically. I would tell him what fantasies I'd had about men. He would shame me, give me Bible verses to feel bad about it, and then, to somehow climb out of my sin by reading the Bible again and again, even though by that time I'd already memorized huge swaths of the Bible. In our morning sessions, we would be placed with adults, some of them, 50, 60, some of them dealing with marriage issues, some of them dealing with infidelity, bestiality, you name it. People were dealing with all sorts of things. There was a lot of visualization, role-playing. There was like a session where we had to sit across from an empty chair and yell at our invisible father and say that we hated our father. A lot of this was built off of a model that said it's basically Freudian without any updates. That anyone who's gay has to be gay because they have father issues and they're too close to their mother. But when I was sitting in the chair across from my invisible father and they're saying to me, hey, you need to tell us that you hate your father, you need to act this out, yell at him, tell him, he's the worst. I was just thinking, something's not lining up here because they're telling me to hate someone and they're calling themselves Christian. Doesn't make sense. $700,000 people who were in America who underwent this. But I would say even one person who underwent this sort of therapy, we should be talking about it because it doesn't come out of nowhere. This type of fundamentalist thinking came from the bigotry that has been allowed to persist in a lot of these communities unchecked. And because we've not reported on it, we've not talked about it, we have marriage equality and then we say everything's solved. Well, no, we're just beginning, right? And I know as a cis white guy, right? Like, I don't even experience a fraction of what other people have been experiencing their whole lives not being listened to. And so, my hope is that the more that we get the story out here, the more likely it is that the other stories get told.